Welcome to Mining Over Canada. Join the Canadian Securities Exchange and our partners in a first-hand look into our country's vast mining landscape. Hi, welcome to Mining Over Canada. I'm your host, Barrington Millar from the Canadian Securities Exchange. And today I am here with Rohan MacLean, Strategic Promotions Lead, Mines and Minerals Division of the Ministry of Energy of Northern Development and Mines, and also Rohan Millar, Senior Manager, Resident of the Geologist Program. Welcome to the show.
Actually, that's pretty good.
Yep, sounds fun
So
to me.
we're, as you know, we're doing this program called Mining Over Canada, and this week I have the privilege of being in Ontario and interviewing companies, groups, and divisions and people who are in this glorious, great province. Gentlemen, please tell us what it is you do.
Okay, so for myself, I actually work for the Ontario Geological Survey, which is one of the branches of the Mines and Minerals Division. The Ontario Geological Survey itself is we have a number of different branches or different business units within it, but there's three main groups who work within the Ontario Geological Survey. We have what's called the Geoservices section, which is our analytical laboratories and our publication services. So we can do analyses of rocks, assays and the like. And the publication services unit is responsible for publishing all of our publications, recommendations for exploration, report of activities, summary of field work. We regularly produce geological maps right across the province, so they bring all of that out for us. We have the Earth Resources and Geoscience mapping section. If you want long names there, Barrington, that's the biggest one we've got. They're responsible for all of the mapping across the province. They go out, they get in the field, boots on the ground, they map new areas, they remap old areas that haven't been done over a number of years. They're also responsible for geochemical surveys, geophysical surveys and the like. And then we have the unit that I work with, which is the Resident Geologist Program. What we do is we are a dedicated group of geologists. We have 8 offices across the province. We provide basically boots on the ground advice. If you have a property and you want to know about the geology of it, we will tell you all about it. We will go out in the field with you. We'll do property visits. We will do field trips. We provide expert geoscience advisory services. We have local in-depth knowledge. The geologists live in the districts they represent. We also administer special data collections. We have extensive physical libraries and online libraries. And we also we report on mining exploration activity within the districts that we represent and right across the provinces. That's the OGS in a nutshell.
That is a really big nutshell. And yeah, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, Rohan MacLean. I'm with my branch is the Strategic Services branch of the Mines and Minerals Division. So my main role is to promote the products and services of our ministry, and as well as to try to attract new investment to Ontario. Now, I do work very closely with Rohan's group, the Residence Office. They're a service that they do provide in terms of, again, having that information, that expertise in terms of the knowledge, the geological knowledge of Ontario. So we work quite closely with his group in terms of attracting new investment, new mining companies or junior exploration companies to Ontario. We also deal a lot with ministers' requests, information. We do have a lot of requests for information from organizations, associations about Ontario and how we do business in Ontario. So that's a very important part of it as well. So that's kind of my role in a nutshell as well. But working very closely within the division in terms of promoting the products and the services that we do provide, I think is probably the main point I would like to get across is that we do have a lot of services and a lot of products that the client can use for sure.
When you talk about the client, like these services, how much do you charge for these services?
These services are completely free of charge. We do not charge anybody anything for the services we provide. Occasionally there might be a cost for a physical map if it needs to be printed, but that's about the extent of it. Everything else that we do, from the field trips, property visits, assay lab side of it, all of the services we provide are free of charge. Our mandate is to promote exploration in the province, and so this is how we do it.
This is when we first had this conversation, I couldn't believe it, and I made a joke earlier saying, you've almost encouraged me to go out and prospecting. Ontario is massive. People don't quite understand just how big. We were talking when Anna Sarin was on the line, and I think she said you could fit 49 Portugals in Ontario, which again, it just sounds really cool to say. And I promise that I would have said it in the video. Let's go back a bit. How did this program start, and what were the origins of it?
Sean?
The program, you mean the resident geologist program, or
just the program of these services for free, of promoting Ontario, and I'm going to say Northern Ontario because what's your area? What's your area scope?
Yeah, so I mean it's all of Ontario. So our scope within the mining sector is all of Ontario. So these programs and these services that we do provide, involves everyone in Ontario that has, they can access those services. Again, maybe something I'd like to mention too is the fact that when you mentioned earlier about the size of Ontario, I mean, we do have a lot of unexplored land as well. So there's still a lot of opportunity within Ontario to explore a lot of these areas that haven't been explored yet. Most of those are obviously in Northern Ontario, and there is some accessibility restrictions for that. But it is still, I think, out there that Ontario, because we have such a mining and exploration history, and we've been mining for hundreds of years, over 100 years, that everything has been discovered or found. So that's another, I guess, we want to maybe point out, is that there's still lots of discoveries to be found in Ontario. There's still a lot of potential for new discoveries. We find that there's still, we still have the opportunity to find new types of minerals. Diamonds wasn't something considered in Ontario until most recently, or recent enough. But again, it's just the availability of land that is there to be explored is quite, I think, gives us that you should come to Ontario.
Oh, that's it's amazing, and I encourage people to seek it out. Let's go a little bit into the rocks, because we have a geologist here. What can people expect to find? What is hot right now? Because you said different companies are coming in, and you see, are people just trying to find golds? Tell us what we don't know.
So I mean, the Ontario Geological Survey itself, if you really want to look at it, we discussed origins. It's now, if we can date ourselves back, I think it's 128 years now as a continuous entity in one form or another, from I think the original Department of Mines back in the late 1890s, and we actually have records dating back to the first publication we ever put out there, by the way. We have a massive archival inventory of information. In Sudbury is what's known as the Willett Green Miller Centre, and Willett Green was actually one of the geologists who discovered cobalt in the town of Cobalt, or discovered silver, I suppose, in the town of Cobalt, silver and cobalt there. And that actually was one of the first mines ever to start up in the province. But if you look at what we have right now, the biggest focus is always on gold. Gold is very popular still, and as your as your clients probably know, it's been going up and up in value, particularly since COVID hit us. But Ontario is also very well known for its nickel deposits, the whole Sudbury Basin area. We have copper, lead, zinc deposits. We have North America and probably the world's only dedicated palladium mine, the Lactazil mine just north of Thunder Bay. In terms of the gold camps, we have the Red Lake camp, we have the Timmins camp, Kirkland Lake, of course. They've had some phenomenal results lately from the Macassa mine there that were just released over the last few days. As Sean mentioned, we had the Victor Diamond mine, and there's still a lot of unexplored kimberlite pipes within the province. The majority of them do have claims over them. Companies are working on them as we speak. We have a massive mineral potential within the province. Cobalt, of course, is becoming popular with the lithium-ion batteries, the whole electric car market, and pretty much the whole of the cobalt region is under claims right now. People are exploring there. There's just a lot of exploration going right across the province, and part of it is this is the stuff we know. Yeah, we have lithium deposits across the province. There's north of Red Lake, there's around the Kenora region, there's around the Lake Nipigon region as well. So yeah, we have a massive potential of mineralization right across the province, and there's probably commodities there that we just haven't searched for yet. There's no reason why they don't exist. We just haven't looked for them.
You mentioned something earlier about claims and staking claims, and I'm going to reveal my limited knowledge, very, very limited knowledge. I'm never ashamed to show it. How does one do it? Do I go into an office? Do I send a letter? What's the new way?
The new way, so in April 2018, we initiated what's known as the Mining Lands Administration System, or MLAS, and that is a purely online claim registration program. Prior to that, the old-fashioned way was you had to actually have a prospector's license, you had to go out in the field, you had to cut lines through the bush, you had to erect claim posts, you had to nail tags to the claim posts, you had to record it all, then you had to rush into the nearest office to register your claim. And, you know, in the old days, there were staking rushes, you know, where there might be 4, 5, or 10 different groups trying to stake the same amount, the same ground at the same time. And so the MLAS system is a way to alleviate the issues that arose out of that. So now you need a prospector's license. There's an online course as well that has to be completed when you apply for that license. And then you can basically stake claims digitally. If you have an internet connection and a computer and a credit card, you can stake your claims. And what MLAS shows you, it shows you what ground is available for staking, what ground isn't available for staking. And you can just, you can, if you have an area of interest and you want to pick up that ground and it's open, you can do it from your home office on a laptop.
And I don't have to be in Ontario to do it.
I don't believe so. I'm still trying to figure that one out entirely. I think there's still a provision that you need an Ontario address to be able to stake claims within Ontario. Sean, I don't know if you know any more about that.
No, I don't.
But even if you're, say, a company in Australia who wants to stake some ground and you've done your data mining, you've researched it, there's companies here, like the old way of doing it was there were staking companies. Now they've just changed how they do it. but there are people who will stake ground on your behalf if you are not set up to do it. Like you mightn't have your prospector's license and things like that. You might know the ins and outs of it. But there are companies available within the province who will actually stake ground on your behalf for you.
Oh, so all of this is fascinating. Sean, tell me something that I wouldn't know. Actually, you can tell me anything because there's a lot I don't know. Yeah, no, tell us, share with us some of your knowledge and some of your experience with this very, very unique operation.
Yeah, I guess what I can maybe mention too, since I'm on the promotional side of things, promoting Ontario, I think another, aspect of Ontario is just the different clusters that we have in Ontario in terms of innovation and equipment supply and service companies. I know that Ontario is a leader when it comes to some of these associations, some of these clusters. For example, the mining equipment service companies, mining supply service companies are very, there's over 900 companies in Ontario. Most of them are situated in Northern Ontario, but there's over 900 companies and they generate over $10 billion in revenue a year. And their main areas of expertise obviously is mine automation, it's underground equipment, it's engineering, it's construction, it's every facet of the mining industry and exploration as well. The other thing too is that we do have some great, when it comes to universities and colleges. We have roughly 19 universities of the university and colleges that have, world-class mining, geology, and engineering programs. So I think, the fact that if somebody does decide to come to Ontario and decide to explore or produce or open up a mine, that they don't have to look very far in terms of the resources and the expertise that we have here. So I think that's another incentive for them to come to Ontario as well, which is that we do have the resources, the expertise, and the people who want. 72,000 people, our workers, actually work in and around the mining industry, and directly and indirectly. So it's a large economic driver for Ontario, specifically Northern Ontario.
I couldn't agree with you more. We had the privilege of interviewing, I think it was Mine Connect and NORCAT. We
Yes.
spoke with Don Duval, which again, for our audience members, I'm not going to tell you anything about NORCAT. You're going to have to watch the interview. That's a little bit of my own self-promotion. You mentioned a couple things that we just didn't even talk about or get into. One was the amount of people that are associated with it. I want to know your interaction with the communities. Two, I want to know what is considered Northern Ontario, because for me, it's like Barrie, and I'm in Toronto. But I know you can drive, it's the equivalent of driving to Florida, that you can drive north and still be in Ontario. So yeah, and the education and the educational facet and how you might be able to work with them or alongside. So yeah, let's start with what is north and consider Northern Ontario, and then let's delve into a little bit of the communities.
Yeah, I guess Northern Ontario would be considered north of Parry Sound. It's always been kind of, Parry Sound around area, but I think, Rohan, I think that's considered Northern Ontario for us.
I think it is,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always been some debate in terms of where that line is, but the line kind of moves up and down a little bit. But anything north of Parry Sound, including Parry Sound, would be considered Northern Ontario. Yeah, these communities obviously are very, a lot of these communities were built on mining. Forestry is another big natural resource, but mining is the larger one that does drive the economics in Northern Ontario in terms of employment. So north of French River, there we go, north of French River. Like I said, there's always that fine line that people, you talk to a Southerner and you talk to a Northerner, you get different. There's
answers. I forget who told me or what it was about, but they said they identify if you're from south of Parry Sound by the way you say something. It's like cottage or cottaging, or
Camps, yeah.
or camps, or if you're going camping or cottaging, or
That's
or.
That's right.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
been to Temiskaming Shores. That's my yeah, my son won his team qualified for provincial championships, and we got on a bus and we went to Temiskaming Shores, and yeah, that is as far north as I've been. And I'm I'm gonna be politically incorrect or correct or whatever, but there was no black people there at all. And it was that was, just being from Toronto, we were literally around, and my son was looking, and it was good for him to experience. And everyone, the town is great. The people are super friendly. Um, but I know there's also a push for diversity and a push for more inclusion, either with Indigenous groups or gender inclusion and things like that. And I know Ontario's the ministries have been doing a really, really good job at pushing and promoting that. Let's Have you guys been on camps or to camps? What's camp life like that you can talk about?
I'll let Rohan take this one.
Well, I was going to say, actually, there's a lot of camps around Thunder Bay. We've got a lot of lakes and things like that, and of course, Thunder Bay, we're right on Lake Superior, so there's a lot of camps out east and west of Thunder Bay. They're anything from a shack that somebody built 50 or 60 years ago out of what appears to be driftwood, to multi-million-dollar year-round houses. It's quite incredible, and you can see one next to the other, which can be quite interesting sometimes. Thunder Bay has a very high Finnish population, so you find that a lot of the older camps have saunas, and you have your sauna, run down to the dock,
I had no idea.
jump in the water. So Thunder Bay theoretically is Finland's second largest city by head of population. If you actually look at how many people have Finnish descent, about 100 to 120 years ago, with the forestry industry where it was at the time, needed more people, and a lot of the Finns came in to help with the forestry industry, and they stayed here. So yeah, we have a massive Finnish population. I think we have the most saunas even in town. You can buy a house that has a sauna in the basement.
That is amazing, and I'm sure the hockey's pretty good there too.
Oh yes. Yeah, well, Thunder Bay has a lot of claims to fame on a lot of players. The Stahl brothers, of course, are very well known. Yeah, so that's camp life.
Where are you guys right now?
I'm in Thunder Bay.
Yep.
I'm in Sudbury.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What about the technology? Because, like you said, you can do stakes, you can do claiming online, multi-million-dollar camps. I never thought of it. I still think of everything I learned about mining. I learned from cartoons. Yosemite Sam and with the pen handle, and but it's changed a lot.
Mining has evolved dramatically in the last 20 years. I've been in industry. I worked in mining for 20 odd years. I've been with the government for 3.5 of the last 5 years since I've been in industry, and the whole mining side of things has changed dramatically. And as Sean mentioned, we have a whole lot of suppliers out there who are supplying this incredible technology. Drone technology, flying a drone underground to check out the stability of the excavations you're making, because it's too dangerous to send a person in. But you can send a drone in now, and you can come up with a full 3D picture of what you're looking at, and then you can make plans for how to safely extract the ore that you're mining. The Borden mine, which is one of the newest mines in the province to open up, they're a fully electric underground vehicles. Everything is electric. There's just other technologies out there. We're using the GIS technology to to find new mining areas. From the resident geologist program side of things, we have a massive online database that's freely available to everybody. We have a web portal called Geology Ontario, where you can search for. So if you stake a claim in the province, one of the requirements is that you have to spend a certain amount of money on each claim per year to keep it in good standing. And the way you do that, well, you spend your money, but then you file what's called an assessment report, which says what you've done and how much money you're claiming against it. All those assessment reports go online. We're in the process of, we've got a bit of a backlog right now of the actual documents that go with it, but we have a massive online database of all of the assessment reports going back, oh God, up to 100 years. So you can access that information. We have geochemical data sets. In March this year at the Prospectors and Developers Association of Canada meeting, we released our combined lake sediment geochemistry database. And there'd been a number of individual surveys over the years, but what we did was we put them all into a single searchable database and made that available to anybody and everybody. Every year we fly a number of geophysical surveys across the province, and as technology gets better every year, you get more and more detail on it. So we're always trying to update the surveys we've got. We've got the majority of the province now covered with geophysical surveys, and you can download that data and use it. And there's new techniques out there. We had a company that was based in Vancouver actually staked claims in Ontario based on data mining of our databases. They downloaded the data. They had their GIS expert. They gave their GIS expert a set of criteria that they were looking for in a property. They wrote the algorithm. They ran it against our data, and up popped a series of options for them. And then they went and staked the claims based on that. They staked it before they'd even set foot in the province.
They didn't come into the province at all, and they were
not until after they had staked it. Then they came in and talked to us, and then we sent our geos out. We did site visits with them. We introduced them to the geology of the property. Yeah, we also have a drill hole database as well. We have a platform that's built on the Google Earth platform, and it's called OGS Earth. And you can access that through our website. And it has a whole series of data sets available to you. There's lake sediments, there's geophysics, there's drill holes, other geochemistry, there's bedrock mapping, there's quaternary mapping, which is your more recent side of things. I'm forgetting lots of them too. We have groundwater analysis, particularly in southern Ontario and in eastern Ontario. We do groundwater monitoring as well for natural pollutants. So you can download all of this information, and you can actually download it into the Google Earth format, or you can actually download the majority of it into GIS format so that you could import it into, say, ArcInfo, and then you can manipulate the data and search it from there. So that the technology's there, and it's improving all the time.
What I want to talk about, and you reminded me, but for our audience, we've spoken before, we've met before, virtually, I think it was last week. The economics and the economic differences. Well, there's two things I want to bring up. One, after you've staked your claim or your claims, in order to do the upkeep, I think you mentioned that you could dedicate monies to one and then spread it out over the numbers.
That's correct,
that you have, as long as they're touching.
Yes.
And that differs in Quebec, I believe, where
it's a different system that we have here. So in Ontario, you have to spend $400 per claim unit per year keep it in good standing. A claim unit is roughly a hectare in size, but it does differ. It can change a little bit. But the Ontario system that we have is that if you spend a lot of money on one spot, like you've had some good results, you've put a lot of drilling in place and things like that, but you haven't got out to those other areas just yet, you're allowed to spread the money that you have spent on it on any of the contiguous claims. Contiguous being that they're all touching one another in a package. So you can spread those dollars out right across it to keep all the claims in good standing. And that way, you finish your exploration where you're doing right now, but you want to move on to other parts of the property. You haven't lost those claims because you didn't spend the money on them. That's the way the Ontario system works.
And systems in other provinces, you have to put money in, even though you may not have explored it or done anything with it, just to keep it.
Yeah, there's different systems in the different provinces. I'm not familiar with all of them, but yeah.
It sounds like you're saying Ontario's the best. That's what it sounds like. I'm not putting words in your mouth.
I believe it is.
From a capital markets perspective, because I work at the Canadian Securities Exchange, we have a number of mining and mineral exploration companies. I guess what that means is that they can put the money towards places that they know and places that they've done research, which as a shareholder, that's what you want from the company that you've invested in. From start to finish, how much is available to a company or a business or a person with your agency? Because it looks like I could get my prospecting license and give your agency a call, and you will help us and help companies develop and grow and build in Ontario. Is that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we do have different program areas within our division, as well as the development division, which focuses just on Northern Ontario. But yeah, definitely from early exploration right to mine production. I mean, we have areas within the government that are there to assist, the company in terms of using that information that Rohan discussed earlier and accessing the information and how to use it. And then, going to, the residence office where Rohan his group works, and using that expertise and that knowledge for that area. And we do have offices, satellite offices. Our main office is in Sudbury. It's our head office, but we do have other offices throughout the province. And those are our regional offices where a local company that is exploring locally can access and use that information. And also utilize the expertise and the knowledge of the geologist, because a lot of that information is not captured on paper or an assessment report. So it's very important for the companies to utilize that service that we do provide. And then we get into the mineral development side of things, where we do have people that help with the development side, enforcing the Mining Act, making sure that the companies adhere to the Mining Act. Closure plans. So we do bring them through the different various of the mine sequence in terms of helping them move their projects forward, or give them the sound advice on how to proceed in terms of opening a mine up in Ontario.
Now, I'm going to ask a big final question, and it might be obvious, but just to put a hammer point on it, why? Why is the Ontario government putting this out there, this remarkable, great opportunity? What is behind it?
From my perspective, is we have an incredible mineral potential within this province, and the government of Ontario recognises that potential. And as Sean mentioned, $10 billion of turnover a year within the mining sector. There's significant contributions there to your tax base, to communities, jobs, people, livelihoods. They recognise the importance of it, and they will do whatever it takes to promote people to come into the province and invest and explore and hopefully find new mines and open them up. That's from the resident geologist program perspective. And from Sean?
Yeah, from our perspective is to encourage economic development in Ontario. It's to create jobs. It's to boost that economy. It's it's to help boost Ontario in terms of the mining exploration sector, mineral sector. But I think, in my perspective, is to create jobs and boost the economy. And we're doing this because we want to encourage companies, individuals, prospectors to come to Ontario. We want them to to explore here and then eventually open up a mine, which contributes to to the 72,000 workers in Ontario, indirect and directly, right? It's about building family communities and keeping those jobs here in Ontario.
I love it. And on behalf of the Canadian Securities Exchange, on behalf of Mining Over Canada, on behalf of Ontario, we want to thank you, Sean. Thank you, Rohan, for sharing your wisdom, your expertise, and your experience, and showing us that Ontario is still the province to be reckoned with.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.